सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता चैप्टर 18 श्लोक 54। ब्रह्मभूतः प्रसन्नात्मा न शोचति न काङ्क्षति समः सर्वेषु भूतेषु मद्भक्तिं लभते पराम्। Starting from shloka 41 up to 53, Krishna summed up the two topics of Bhagavad Gita, namely Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. These two yogas culminate in jnana. On successfully going through these two yogas, a seeker becomes a jnani. It is the culmination of all spiritual endeavors. If you are a jnani, you don't have to accomplish anything further, even in terms of spiritual growth. Now, Krishna is describing a jnani in this verse. Brahma bhutaha. A jnani is Brahma bhutaha. A jnani is Brahman. Before jnana, there was a superimposed difference between him and Brahman. The jnana has removed the superimposed difference. Therefore, a jnani is not different from Brahman. Therefore, he is Brahma bhutaha. He has become Brahman as it were. Prasannatma. He enjoys a calm mind. Prasannaha atma yasya saha prasannatma. Jnani enjoys a quiet mind. His mind does not get disturbed by the happenings of the universe. न शोचति न कांक्षति. न शोचति. He does not come to grief. He is free from sorrow. The Vyakhyanakara says, Nashtam na shochati. He does not lament for what he has lost. He does not get disturbed by loss. Na kankshati. Free from desires. Does not desire anything. Vyakhyanakara says, Apraptam na kankshati. He does not desire what he does not have. He is satisfied with what he has. Samas sarveshu bhuteshu. Another characteristic of a jnani. A jnani is the same towards all beings. Same towards all beings. This should be understood properly. What Krishna means, it does not mean he will hug each and everyone. It does not mean he will be equally indifferent to everyone. Therefore, we have to understand the implied meaning. First of all, a jnani is not attached to anyone. Free from attachment. Whether it is his closest relatives or someone who is far away, he is not attached to anyone. Number two, he will have unconditional love towards all beings. Number three, a jnani will have greatest empathy, which Krishna himself has mentioned earlier. Atmopamyena sarvatra samam pashyati Arjuna sukham va yadi va dukkham sayogi paramo mataha. He sees everybody's pleasure as his own pleasure, and he sees everybody's pain as his own pain. It is called empathy. You can feel others' pains. You can understand others' difficulties as your own difficulty. A jnani is a man of empathy. Number 4, he is a well-wisher of everyone. Krishna has said, Sarvabhuta hite rataha. He is everybody's well-wisher. Therefore, Sarveshu Bhuteshu Samaha. He is same towards all the beings. Madbhaktim labhate param. Most often, people think that jnana and bhakti are opposed to each other. Jnana is detrimental to bhakti. It is a popular notion. That is why many bhaktas will discourage people from going to Vedanta. If you study Vedanta, you will lose bhakti. Some people say so. Then there are some other people, after coming to Vedanta, they think they should not have bhakti. Now I have become a Vedanti, so I should not have bhakti. Some students say so. Neither of these are endorsed by Krishna, because Krishna always emphasized on the need for bhakti, even in the pursuit of Atmajnana. And even after getting jnana, one continues to. In fact, a jnani is the greatest bhakta. A jnani's bhakti is called para-bhakti. In chapter 7, Krishna talked about 4 types of bhaktas. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritinarjuna arto jijnasurartharthi jnani cha bharatarshabha. There are 4 types of bhaktas. And among them, Krishna also mentioned that jnani is the greatest bhakta. Tesham jnani nityayuktaha ekabhaktir vishishyate. Jnani vishishyate. Jnani excels among all forms of bhaktas. Why is it so? Because eka bhakti, A jnani's bhakti is eka bhakti. For an ajnani, there are more than one objects of love. He may have bhakti towards Ishvara. He may have love towards Ishvara. In the meantime, he may have love towards other things also. At least there is Bhagavan and himself. Therefore, an ajnani's love is bifurcated. An ajnani's love flows in more than one directions. Whereas a jnani's love does not get bifurcated, because from the standpoint of a jnani, there is only one thing, only Paramatma. Therefore, all his love is directed towards only one object, Paramatma. Even the self-love, love for oneself, is also not different from the love for Paramatma. Because for a jnani, Paramatma is the self. Therefore, there is no separate self-love and separate Ishvara love. There is only one object of love. The love flows only in one direction. Unidirectional love. It is possible only for a jnani. That is why Krishna described jnani as eka bhakti. Therefore, Vishishyate, he is the greatest bhakta. Therefore, a jnani's bhakti is parabhakti, the greatest form of bhakti. Madbhaktim labhate param. A jnani attains parabhakti towards Ishvara. Madbhaktim. Bhaktihi madbhaktihi. Love towards me. Love in me. Me refers to Krishna, Paramatma. Bhaktya mamabhijanati yavanyashchasmi tattvataha tato mam tattvato jnatva vishate tadanantaram. A jnani becomes parabhakta. Parabhakta. But before getting jnana, also bhakti has its own role to play in the spiritual pursuit. Therefore, Krishna points out the importance of bhakti in the pursuit of jnana. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. One knows me with the help of bhakti. Shvetashvataropanishad says, Yasya deve parabhaktihi yatha deve tatha gurau tasyaite kathita hyarthaha prakashante mahatmanaha. Yasya deve parabhaktihi. A person with the greatest love for Ishvara. Yatha deve tatha gurau. And he has the same amount of bhakti towards his guru. Tasya, that kind of a person gets a jnana. Whether it is karma yoga or whether it is jnana yoga, bhakti plays an important role. A karma yogi cannot perform karma yoga without devotion to Ishvara. Because karma yoga involves performing one's duties as a worship of Ishvara. You cannot worship Ishvara without bhakti. Likewise, jnana, even in the pursuit of jnana, you need devotion, bhakti towards Ishvara as well as Guru. Therefore, bhaktya mam abhijanati. Now, there are different forms of understandings, especially when it comes to Paramatma. People have various understandings, diverse understandings. Generally, people shake their head to anything. Everything is correct. But Krishna does not say so. Any understanding cannot be the correct understanding. There are various philosophers. They have their own idea about Paramatma. All of them need not be correct. To get the correct understanding, one should go through proper means of knowledge. Pramana. And the pramana to understand Paramatma is Vedanta Vakya. Guru Padishta Vedanta Vakya. Hinting at this, Krishna says, Tattvataha. Tattvataha abhijanati. One understands Paramatma properly. Krishna rules out all views of Paramatma that are not in keeping with Vedanta Shastra. Tattvataha, properly, the true nature of Paramatma. The philosophers have various ideas about two things. Number one, about the size of Paramatma, the quantity of Paramatma. What is the quantity? According to some people, Atma is Anuhu. Atma is of the size of atom. According to some, Atma is Madhyama Parimana. Madhyama means moderate size. Atma takes the size of the body. My Atma is as big as my body. Your Atma is as big as your body. This is another philosophy. Then there is Vibhu Parimana. Atma is all pervasive, infinite, Vibhu. So there are mainly three views about the quantum of Atma. Number one, Anu. Number two, Madhyama. Number two, Vibhu. Number three, Vibhu. Among these three, the Vedanta Shastra rules out the first two. Atma is not Anu, not a minuscule, not a particle. You cannot measure Atma in terms of nanometers. And Atma is not Madhyama Parimana also. It is not confined to the body. Instead, it is Vibhu. It is all pervasive, infinite. Therefore, even the quantity of the Atma, Parimana of the Atma, should be understood properly. Therefore, Krishna says, Yavan. Yavan. The right quantity of Ishvara. The right size of Paramatma. And philosophers have various views on the nature of Paramatma also. What is the nature of Paramatma? About this, the philosophers have various ideas. Therefore, even regarding the nature of Paramatma, the Swarupa of Paramatma, one should have proper understanding. Therefore, Yascha Asmi, Yahacha means Swarupataha. In Swarupa, what is the Swarupa of Ishvara? What is the Swarupa of Atma? Even that should be understood properly. तत्वतः। यावान् इति तत्वतः विजानाति, यश्च इत्यपि तत्वतः विजानाति। Then his understanding is correct. Then he gets moksha. A proper understanding results in moksha. We talk about twofold moksha: Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti. As soon as you get jnana, you enjoy Jivan Mukti. In many places of Bhagavad Gita, you find the description of Jivan Mukti. Though the word Jivan Mukti is not used, you find the description of Jivan Mukti. Right from chapter 2, Sthita Prajna Lakshanani. Likewise, in many chapters, almost every chapter, here and there, Krishna has described a Jivan Mukta. Even verse 54, Brahmabhutah Prasannatma, etc., describe a Jivan Mukta. 54 is about Jivan Mukta. When this Jivan Mukta leaves the body, he does not get another body, unlike an Ajnani. Instead, when he dies, he merges with the Brahman as it were. No more embodiment. It is called Videha Mukti. This line is talking about Videha Mukti. Tato mam tattvato jnatva vishate tadanantaram. Tataha. As a result of bhakti, with the help of bhakti, mam tattvato jnatva, understanding me properly. See, once again, Krishna says, tattvataha. The understanding should be proper. Any vague understanding or any wrong understanding will not give the phala. Vishate tadanantaram. Tadanantaram. After that, in due course of time, Mam Vishate, a jnani enters me. A jnani merges in Paramatma. Videha Mukti. Thus, Krishna has explained both Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and the phala, the result of spiritual pursuit. Now, Arjuna is in a dilemma. In fact, right from chapter 2, he has been in a dilemma. Right from the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna conjectures that Arjuna's dilemma is not fully gone yet. Even after listening to 18 chapters. Not all 18, 17 plus a few more shlokas. He still feels Arjuna is a little confused. What is Arjuna's confusion? Whether he should take to Karma Yoga or whether he should choose a Jnana Yoga. Giving up karma. This had been Arjuna's confusion. And therefore, Krishna knows what is Arjuna's confusion. And Krishna is also aware of where Arjuna is standing. What is good for Arjuna at this point of time? Whether he is eligible for Karma Yoga or whether he is eligible to give up karma and take to full-time jnana. Krishna knows what is good for Arjuna. According to Krishna, in Krishna's assessment, Arjuna is not yet ready, not yet ripe to give up karma altogether and pursue jnana. Instead, Arjuna needs to perform Karma Yoga at this point of time. Therefore, Krishna is suggesting Arjuna to hold on to Karma Yoga. Therefore, once again, Krishna is talking about karma. Sarva karmanyapi sada kurvano madhyapashayaha matprasadadavapnoti shashvatam padamavyayam. He explains Karma Yoga once again. Sarva karmanyapi sada kurvanaha. Performing all karmas. Sarva karmani. Referring to Swadharma. Performing Swadharma. How? Sada madhyapashayaha. Always taking refuge at Ishvara. Offering all the karmas to Ishvara. Mat prasadat. Then he gets Ishvara's grace. Instead of saying Ishvara or Paramatma, Krishna uses first person, Madhyapashraya, taking refuge at me, Mat Prasadat, by my grace. Because Krishna is Paramatma. Mat Prasadat, by my grace. Karma Yoga. With the help of Karma Yoga, one receives Ishvara's grace. The Ishvara's grace removes all the impurities in the mind. And the Ishvara's grace facilitates the pursuit of jnana. Even to get a guru, even to get a conducive ambience to study the Shastra, listen to Vedanta, you need Ishvara's grace. That is why one should be prayerful. Mat Prasadat, by the grace of Ishvara, he gets a jnana in due course of time, and then he gets moksha. And the moksha is Shashvatam Avyayam Padam. It is Shashvata Pada. Pada is the destination. Padam means the destination, the goal, referring to moksha. And this Padam is a Shashvatam. It is eternal, Nitya. Any other goal, including Swarga, is Anitya, temporary. But this is Nitya, Shashvatam. Among Nitya, there are two types. One is called Parinami Nitya. It is permanently there, but it keeps changing. For example, the river. The river had been there for centuries and millennia. Let's take the river Ganga. It has been there for many centuries. But in the meantime, not a single drop of Ganga remains as it is. It keeps changing. It is called Parinami Nitya. It is eternally there, but in the meantime, it is constantly changing. But moksha is not Parinami Nitya. It is Aparinami Nitya. It is eternal and not subject to any change. Therefore, avyayam, avyayam, aparinami, immutable, free from all changes. He attains. So, Karma Yoga leads to moksha in due course of time. Chetasa sarvakarmani mayi sanyasya matparaha buddhi yogamupashritya macchitta satatam bhava. Sarvakarmani mayi sanyasya, offering all karmas to me, offering all karmas to Ishvara. Sarvakarmani, all karmas, offer it to Ishvara. And this process of offering is a mental phenomenon. You mentally offer all the karmas to Ishvara. Therefore, Chetasa, mentally, it is an attitude. You are doing all karmas for the sake of Ishvara. Mat paraha. Aham paraha yasya saha mat paraha. Ishvara is para for this karma yogi. Ishvara is the greatest. His ultimate goal is Ishvara. What he wants to get by means of the karma. He does not want to get any material gain. He does not want to get money. He does not want to get material happiness. His goal is Ishvara. Buddhi yogam upashritya. Buddhi yoga refers to samatva buddhi. In chapter 2, siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Accepting success and failure equally. Accepting the outcome of any result, accepting the outcome of any action as Ishvara's prasada. It is called Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi Yogam upashritya. Taking recourse to Buddhi Yoga. Satatam macchittaha bhava. Macchittaha. Mayi chittam yasya saha macchittah. A person who has fixed his mind on Ishvara is called Macchittah. Ishvara Chittah. His mind is fixed on Ishvara. Satatam, constantly, always. How is it possible? In fact, I was wondering how it is possible. You are doing karma. We are talking about a karma yogi. You are doing karma. And then you have to remember Ishvara always. What should you do? Is it that you keep a japamala and keep chanting all the time? With one hand you have japamala and with the other hand you keep doing karma. Is it possible? It is not practicable. You do japa as well as karma. Some people try that. But the problem is there won't be focus. Therefore, that is not the idea. Long back, I had this doubt when I was very young. Then I asked a Swami. One Swami Saukhyananda was there. He was a very quiet Swami. Quiet and very simple sadhu. And generally people won't recognize how spiritually advanced this person is. But since I was very close to him, I knew the depth of this person, the spiritual depth this person had. Then I asked him, Swamiji, how can one remember Ishvara and perform karma? Then he said, with an example, see, there is a worker. For example, your maid servant. You have employed a maid servant to work for you full time. Does she keep remembering your name always with the japamala? She doesn't have to do. She will do her work, but in the meantime, she is fully aware that she is doing all the work for you, for her master, for her employee, for her employer. It is so with every employee. Every employee is aware that he is doing the work for his or her employer. Likewise, when you do any karma throughout your life, why don't you be aware that you are doing it for Ishvara. Because it is Ishvara who has employed you in this life. Ishvara has given you this life. Ishvara has kept you in this small planet Earth. Therefore, what you are supposed to do in a given situation, it is also the will of Ishvara, the design of Ishvara. Therefore, why it is not possible to do it as the work of Ishvara? That is the idea of Macchittaha. Having Ishvara in mind always. Ishvara has given me this life. Ishvara has kept me in this position. And Ishvara has given me the understanding of what I have to do. Even the understanding of what I am supposed to do, it is Ishvara. Therefore, all the work that I am doing is a service of Ishvara. And there is another aspect to it. When your maid servant is working, what is her goal? Her goal is money. At the end of the day, I will get paid. At the end of the month, I will get paid. Even she is aware of her goal. That is why she is working well. If I work well, I will get my remuneration. So she is fully aware of her goal and she is fully aware of who she is working for, who her master is. Likewise, we have to remember who is our master in life and what is our goal of life. It has to be understood. We have to make ourselves aware of it. And once you are clearly aware of it, you will remember it throughout. In the heart of heart. It need not be remembered every moment with a japamala. Chanting with the japamala and working cannot go together. Japamala has to be rotated at a separate time. Then it will become an efficient, effective japa. So, macchittaha, satatam macchittaha bhava. Constantly keep me in your mind. Means work, do all as a servant of Ishvara, as Ishvara's dasa. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्री